Everybody, it's the Mad Master here. Just doing a quick video about the Kyle Kulinski response to Jimmy Dore and Shank infighting, whatever he wants to call it. Just figured I'd do this. I've been a regular watcher of Kyle Kulinski and Jimmy Dore for a long time. I used to watch TYT until last summer. I've gone into a lot of detail about why I stopped watching. In essence, I thought they were sensationalizing right-wingers dying from COVID, and then they would turn around and they celebrated people. They were talking about, oh, you can't stay indoors, or you have to stay indoors, and then next month they talked about the other protests, the Black Lives Matter. They did say they were concerned with the virus, but it was like they just gave them a free pass to not socially distance and stuff. And this was before the mask thing kind of became more set in stone amongst those people as far as that goes. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I saw TYT's decline through the years, and I stopped watching last summer because of those segments and realized they were kind of just a sensationalist outlet. And Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kulinski. Jimmy Dore is kind of sensationalist, but to me it's not about clicks or about making money. It is more about his kind of firebrand personality, and maybe it's a character flaw, some people would say or see. Now I watched Kyle's addressing this conflict for the first time on video. I had a couple things to say about it, but one thing, I think that Kyle is kind of this type of person that is very interesting, and I want to compare it to my own life, because before I just want to kind of come out in defense of him in a way. In defense of him as far as his personality type that I noticed growing up and through the years. Before people say that he's always corrupt because he knows Cenk Uygur, or he must be getting money from somewhere or something like that. And people could say that. People might say that or something like that. So no, I don't think Kyle Kulinski is corrupt. I think he is definitely he talks about being more about policy than personality, and I kind of figured that that's what his response would be, because I've kind of studied his whole demeanor through the years as far as this goes. So I still know some people like this. So there are certain people that have different types of friends, and I know particularly like someone that I probably consider him one of my best friends growing up and stuff. Didn't like to talk about politics with people. This is kind of funny because it's like, this is probably the opposite of what Kyle might do, but maybe he does kind of have this kind of thing with people too. Just wants to have fun, has friends from different political perspectives. I remember one of his friends being kind of a right-wing Christian, and then you had people like me and my one of my friends, former friend, or whatever you want to call him, or friend, I don't know anymore actually about that. So, but it doesn't matter to me anyways, as far as like what I call this person. But anyways, we were more on the left, and these other people that he knew were on right wing or far right. One of the guys actually posted this meme about transgendered people that I was actually pretty offended by, so I deleted from Facebook. This one guy, this Christian guy, and I'm probably kind of problematic about that myself to some people, because I'm like, I'm not really attracted to transgendered people and stuff. It's just not my thing. And some people might call that problematic, that I would never date anybody like that. I just like, cisgendered. But this meme kind of went a little too far, and I always defended the bathroom. Like, I didn't like the bathroom stuff, because like, to me it was like, what if a woman was really homely looking and didn't, was a female, biologically female, and then she didn't pass, but then like pass, and then there was some transgender person that just totally like you could not tell the difference. I always thought the bathroom thing was so ludicrous and it was a culture war thing. So that's why I deleted that guy from Facebook. But this other guy who's friends with both of us, both these types of people, wouldn't talk about politics, watch movies and talk about music and all sorts of weird shit. Sometimes it'd be social issues, but it would never be about like actual politicians and political parties and stuff. So I have another friend that was kind of like that too, with like, he had a lot of different kinds of friends, he had friends that were kind of really into drugs, and then other people that were less so, like me. And he was, it's kind of this personality type, this more peaceful, amicable personality type. Now, also mixed in with Kyle Kulinski, his thing, he doesn't want to look at people's personalities or people's personalities or their character flaws or whatever. He'd rather just talk about policy, period. And that's a very intelligent way of looking at things. So yeah, like I've had a lot of friends that were kind of more like neutral things, or to use a quote from Spinal Tap, they're like lukewarm water. That's how they are in life. And I think Kyle's one of those kind of people. I'm not friends with Kyle Kulinski. I'm just saying, he reminds me of these friends that I had, coming up in the world and stuff. So that's one thing to consider with regards to this drama and conflict, that he is this type of person. That's his personality type. I could just tell. I knew this months back. I was like, oh yeah, that reminds me of these types of people that are like neutral people in regards to certain things as far as friendships and stuff. Because Kyle Kulinski's friends with Joe Rogan, he's friends with Cenk Uygur, and he's also friends with Jimmy Dore. So he wants, and all those people have very varying perspectives about things with regards to, they're essentially all three are on the left, but I know that TYT probably hates a lot of Joe Rogan's stuff because he kind of flirts with the populist right and has a lot of controversial people on his show. And then at the same time you have Cenk Uygur, obviously, enough said. Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore has some personality flaws. He's very vindictive. He has a very, that's a personality flaw. He's not, like he said in his video, like Kyle Kulinski said in his video, he's not a right-wing grifter like TYT accused him of. Now, I think there were more substantial attacks on TYT in Kyle's reaction video that were more subtle and under the surface that you have to really think about. Oh yeah, that's what he's saying. Now, he didn't, but the one thing I disagree with him on the video is that they weren't influenced by money, because I know money, it may not have been an influence right away, the Katzenberg money and all that, but I know for a fact that more than likely they were influenced by money. I don't buy that. Money, or just the culture of money, whatever you want to call it, the types of people they hang out with, it's a confluence of factors that TYT was always, they were always kind of a sensationalist outlet either way. So he is right sort of about that, like how they haven't really changed that much. You look at these old segments and they're, Cenk was always kind of an interventionist, soft interventionist, or whatever he said. But yeah, I thought I'd bring up that this type of personality is pretty interesting. I don't know if there's like a archetype that people call this, but this is what Kyle is. And I respect it. I'm not like that myself, because I'm trying to be more like that a little bit, because getting into fights with people all the time, whether it be online or otherwise, it gets really draining and annoying. And I'm personally like pretty, and I've had some even like with people that I hang out with right now, like I've had some real big disagreements, because they watch a lot of mainstream media and they believe a lot of the stuff that is being thrown out there. And then at the same time, I've I've lost some friends too, and I you know, I've kind of had some spats that were really bad. So it's like, do I want to remain in this position or what? The problem is that I take things disagreements personally, because I think I'm being, and probably Jimmy Dore kind of probably is the same way, because like there's a very defensive kind of person, right? That's kind of my personality type has been in a lot of ways. So it's kind of interesting. I'm talking about this stuff, like the political disagreements with people that I've had is almost like a parallel in some ways with regards to what's going on with this. Like in some situations has been like interpersonal disagreements politically in the world, and this this YouTube whatever online progressive drama or whatever is kind of analogous to people's interpersonal political disagreements and arguments and tiffs and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think people are way too, I've known people that are way too defensive of the mainstream media, and they don't venture outside of their bubble, partisan bubble. Now, one of the things that actually helped me with that is lately is I had a lot of angst, and I was taking it out on people. I'll admit a little bit too much. Being back on Facebook, ironically, with me just being able to post whatever that I feel that day, has been a good catharsis for that, because I was gone from Facebook for like 6-7 months. But now that I'm back on there, I'll post something like this partisan hacks, whatever. It's kind of funny. So it's actually helped me with my political thing. But yeah, and I know some people. So back to the friendship thing, like I know some people that are so strict about who they're friends with. They're like, oh, no, I can't talk to that person anymore because they have this opinion. And I know someone specifically like that. Thinking back, like, yeah, it's good that you're not friends with literal Nazis, but at the same time, if someone's not really a Nazi and they're just like, it's just like you I guess it's hard enough to me it's hard. It's been hard enough to make friends in some ways, and if I don't have like a substantial, like, if they're not like if I find them intriguing and unique and worthy of hanging out with, having some minor disagreements or seeing, it depends on how I view them in regards to our friendship or relationship or whatever. It's hard enough to make friends. It's hard enough to make friends that, especially if you're a weird type of person, or a certain type of certain type of different type of person. So that's one thing that is interesting about all this. So I think Kyle Kulinski is just like this kind of lukewarm water, in between the fire and ice, right? Which is Jimmy Dore and Cenk Uygur or whatever. It's like, it's hard to be like that. I don't, and I'm trying to be more like that in life. It's, I think it's a good way to be, because it's like politically, I mean, in some ways, for some people, it's a good way to be. I think maybe we do need some more of that sometimes. It depends on what you think. All these interpersonal conflicts are detrimental to society in a lot of ways. But as far as the Young Turks, I mean, I completely felt betrayed by them last year when they were just I mean, and I'd watched them for years, and I don't know why it took me so long to wake up to what they were doing, what they had been doing, because they've always been kind of sensationalist and divisive. And I don't see that I don't think Jimmy Dore or Kyle Kulinski are even half as divisive. Like I said before, these COVID segments that TYT would do, always focusing on these, like, maybe it was like a sheriff, but it was never like, it was okay, they talked about Herman Cain, or and recently Rick Wiles got the virus, but I guess he's I don't know if he's fine or not. I think he probably was. I'm assuming that he was, or else we would hear about it. They would do these segments about regular people that posted on Facebook that they were anti-mask, and then the media would cover that, and then they would like blow this whole thing up, and they would never do anything about like, oh, Democrats that were, or liberals or leftists that got the virus or died from the virus that were like, doing all the stuff they were supposed to be doing and still got it and died. It would always be about these people that were like, these people were more regular people that they were talking about on TYT. I noticed, some video went viral where they were yelling about masks at a Trader Joe's or something, and then they died, a month later. And they did all these segments, and they just focused undue attention on this thing to make the sensationalist thing. And it's like, the thing is like, nobody is exempt from this whole thing that happened. Nobody is exempt. No, it's not like you're a Democrat. It's almost like they're trying to say, like, rather than saying like the guidelines were helping people or whatever, the mandates, they were saying it almost became a very political thing, like, oh, they're Republicans, so they're going to die automatically. Like, it just became, just because of the undue focus on this whole thing. So when Kyle Kulinski and Jimmy Dore would talk about it, it would be like, well, people like Rick Wiles or Herman Cain or something like that. It would never be about just regular people that happen to be Republican or Trump supporters or whatever, or rarely, it would rarely be about that. And they had, if you look at this number of segments on each channel, TYT versus Jimmy Dore versus Kyle Kulinski, be like, if TYT had these segments, it'd be like, if it was a graph, they'd be like up here, and then Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kulinski would be like down here, because they are more about like real politics and not like punching down or anything like that. And I think that's a character flaw on Kyle's part, that he is so accepting. It could be a benefit. It's a good thing to have this personality type a lot of the time, but it's also it can be a character flaw if people are just doing things that are really terrible, in the world. I don't have this character. I'm not this archetype. I will bring shit up to people and have a conflict. But I think in my life, I'm going to be more like neutral about things a little bit more, because I have been more like Jimmy Dore, especially the last year, getting into arguments with my one of my friends about all this stuff, and just kind of looking for conflict and looking at things in this approach, like, oh, I'm gonna have to bring this up if I see them watching mainstream television. When I go to someone's house, I'm gonna have to say, oh, it's bullshit, stop being brainwashed, or I say all these passive aggressive comments, I'll admit, and I should just not say that stuff. But if it comes up, it's like looking for something, or putting a microscope, or not a microscope, like a magnifying glass on things, looking for something, rather than just having shit. If it comes up, then you can react. That's how life should be, some of the time, rather than just looking for things to be dramatic about, or looking for things to react to. And that's probably where people have said that I'm a contrarian person, is because I will sometimes have an undue focus on such things to react to them. So, but yeah, that's kind of my take on Kyle Kulinski. He's kind of one of those guys that I like, my friend that had a lot of really sketchy, druggy friends, because he was into drugs, but he also had some friends that weren't into drugs, and he was kind of like, and there was like this in-between period where he was going to school, going to college and stuff. He still knew some of these people. We saw some of them, but he never talked shit about anybody, hardly, And it's interesting because like this archetype is just, it's like this archetype is very passive when it comes to conflict and everything with regards to things. This is what Kyle Kulinski is. It's, you can say it's a character, but in this, this case, in some ways, you can say it's a character flaw because he's not going hard enough against his friends and the Young Turks. I would have to say he is too soft on them. That doesn't mean I'm going to unsub or not support him, because I do like the guy and his commentary. Same with Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore's character flaws. He's way too defensive and way too vindictive as far as stuff goes. But they're, those are character flaws versus political policy flaws of and very inherently corrupt or inherently wrong in a lot of ways. The Young Turks. That's something that, I'll accept someone's character flaws of being too passive about things, or too I'm trying to think of the word about Jimmy Dore, but like he's just way more of a vindictive person. But that's about all.